So now that you're all oiled up and stimulated,
Dude, you're making me want to go huff some Pilates powder and get my mucus out.
I can't believe I'm doing this on YouTube.
I'm getting sesame oil on my computer. If we have a malfunction, it's because I'm covering everything in sesame oil.
Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored,
where together we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition. It's springtime, y'all.
Yes, it is. And today we're going to talk about some practical ways that you can stay healthy during this springtime season.
So I think first we have to talk about the importance of living with the season and changing your routine along with the seasons, which I know can seem really overwhelming. But I think once I got into the swing of it, I really love changing up my routine seasonally.
Yeah, I went from living in a climate, Southern California, which has like no seasons. And I always knew about seasonal living, but it never really clicked until I started living in a place where we go through different phases of the year. And as you start tuning into it, it's actually really cool because you can kind of just intuitively start feeling into the things. You know, in winter, we wind down, we curl up, we go inward. And then in spring, which is where we're at now, it's like this blossoming, this awakening, and we can start mirroring what nature does for optimal health and happiness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we talk about this a lot, right? That, that everything affects everything and everything is connected. And what we want is to live in the zone of dynamic balance. If I am a person and I have qualities, we'll say qualities, I might be a hot person or a cold person. Right now, I'm kind of like a cool, wet person. And funny enough, I'm in a cool, wet season right now. So it would be beneficial to me to do things for my body to help me warm up a bit and dry out a bit.
Yes. And I think one thing that's just super important to bring in here is why we live in rhythm with the seasons and what nature intended. And as Alicia mentioned, the things in our environment change and we have to change with it or we're fighting nature. And when we can live in tune with nature, we are going to have less disease, less illness, less sickness, less depression and anxiety, all the things that we struggle with and we want to be free from. And, you know, our professor always talks about Ayurveda is the system of doing 1,000 little things, all going in the same direction for big outcomes. And living seasonally is doing that. It's tuning in the little things to get everything in your health moving in the right direction so you can achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, because what happens, like this, there's a lot of coolness and moisture that accumulates in the wintertime. And heaviness. Winter's kind of a heavy season. And all of that builds up. And if I just let it build up and I don't do things to help to eliminate it, then I can end up with things like depression or fatigue, or that moisture builds up and I have asthma or chronic congestion.
Yeah, there's a lot of common spring issues. I mean, think about it. People talk about spring allergies and we start seeing our postnasal drip and congestion and spring colds. These are all mucus heavy things. We're getting stagnation and the wetness. Maybe you're noticing more water retention or puffiness and you feel a little lethargic lethargic and a little slow as you are coming out of a season that is very accumulating, very dark, very introspective, right? It's there's no light outside. You're spending your time differently than you are in the other seasons. And so how do we emerge and transition so we don't have all these common issues in spring, which set us up for future seasons and we can feel good throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, and that's why people love to detox. That's a really trendy topic right now. Like everybody just detox. And springtime is a great time to detox as we transition into spring, early spring. And one really simple way that you can detox is to just do a mono diet. Eat the same thing every day for a week or two. I think the recommended thing is khichdi. You can find a khichdi recipe just about anywhere. You could probably find one on our Instagram.
Sure.
And yeah, and just give yourself that digestive break and let your body not work so hard to digest and assimilate foods, and eat the same thing every day. Eat with warming, detoxifying spices. Is made with mung beans. Mung beans is half building and half detoxifying. And it's a really simple way to get a nice cleanse in the beginning of the spring and to help get a lot of those accumulations out of your body.
Yeah, and as far as seasonal transitions go, it's my understanding that the transition from summer to fall and the transition from winter to spring are the hardest transitions. So, as we are bridging the gap between winter and spring, it is really important that we make some adjustments in what we're eating, how we're living, and all the things so we do feel good. And the mono diet's a great way to do it. I did an anti-kapha diet, so I switched up my diet dramatically for a week to help with the transition, and then put in some lighter guardrails in place to help me stay within some parameters during spring that help me feel good and light and energetic, the things that I'm craving to feel in this season.
Well, and this year I did a really solid juice cleanse where I was juicing. I was drinking beet juice every day for about a month as we were transitioning into spring. And I was doing celery juice in the morning and the beet juice in the evening, and doing, what else did I do? And I drank bone broth every day. Did that for a little over a month and
That
felt
sounds
really good afterwards.
That sounds lovely. And I know you and I know that there are varying degrees of how detoxifying you can go for this transitional period. You know, you can go as extreme as vomiting and laxatives and really working with a practitioner to do some more extreme detoxing. That's a little advanced for what we're going to get into on the podcast, but a mono diet is like the easiest, lightest entry point for detox. And then you could add things to augment it, like Alicia's mentioning juicing or certain herbs, things that really just help everything in your body get out, stop being stagnant, move, and reawaken for this time of year.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, what was it? Yeah, the energetics of spring. Do we want to get into the energetics of spring? Because this isn't something that's just an Ayurvedic thing. This is planetary. Across the ages and across the world, it has been understood that seasons have energy and quality that affect the energy and the quality of the humans that live in those seasons.
Yeah, I think getting into the energetics and talking about the finer pieces of why we do the things we do will help people connect and understand and start kind of giving them clues of what to start paying attention to as they implement some of these things. So let's do it.
So in Ayurveda, we say spring is a kapha season, which means that it is cool, moist, heavy. And as temperatures rise, the kapha begins to liquefy. It accumulates. Kapha is sticky and thick, and it starts to liquefy, which leads to mucus, congestion, and slow digestion.
That perfectly mirrors what we're talking about, right? Like everything accumulates and that accumulation needs to go somewhere. And as you mentioned, it liquefies and we have mucus and gunk. Now, how do we move it out? How do we get it going? Springtime also carries a bit of an emotional load. We store emotions and these emotions get brought to the surface. These emotions can be things like grief, anger, unresolved heaviness that if we don't, again, put our attention and resources and care to, then they're just going to keep accumulating and they're not going to get out of our system.
And this season's about clearing and clear toxins, emotions, clutter, heaviness. Like we talk about spring cleaning. Who does the spring cleaning in their house? We get rid of the things that don't serve us to make space for the things that can. And we do the same thing in our bodies. Let's get rid of the things that can't profit us, that we can't use, that are blocking things and in the way, to make space for the things that do serve us, the things that make us feel better, that make us more productive. And it makes space for growth and energy so that we can do all the things that we love to do.
Yeah, it's actually so funny because spring cleaning is such a common thing. Everybody does spring cleaning. They reset everything, they get things out, they go through their pantries, but we really don't pay same attention to our bodies and we don't spring clean what's built up in here. And that's so interesting to think about in those terms.
Well, I think that some of us do. I mean, that's what happens. And just the to make space for growth and energy, I do it in my garden. I go out into my garden and I pull the weeds and I plant seeds and I lay down fertilizer. I get rid of the things that aren't working and I do something with them. Like I throw them in the compost. I do the same thing in my kitchen when I clean out my pantry, and I can do the same thing with my body.
And you, as you should. So, okay, now we know a little bit more about why it's important to live with the seasons. We know a little bit more about what this season brings and some of the challenges, some of the common issues, some of the things you can start looking out for. And now, what do you say we dive into some of the practical, very practical? It was very important to us that we were giving you guys practical takeaways that you could go implement to this episode for our listeners to do. And bonus, if you're watching the video, we're going to be walking through some of these things and demonstrating them. So these are things that Alicia and I do in our daily life. We might tweak a little for the springtime, but these are thematic throughout our life. They are a part of our daily routines and a really impactful piece of the health puzzle. I know since implementing this kind of stuff into my routine, I'm a
Okay.
different person.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make noise while you were talking, but just like okay, so the things that we're gonna do, these are life hacks. These are life hacks, but they're like weird. They're gonna seem really strange. These are weird life hacks. But these are life hacks that I have been utilizing for almost a decade, and I can't imagine my life without it. So like I want to start it. Let's start at the beginning. So
Okay.
simple things. You want to get up early in the springtime. This is a time, the bear hibernates in the winter, and then it's time to rise and shine. You don't want to sleep too late. You want to get up as early as possible, preferably before 6 or 7 a.m. if your life allows. And you don't want to take naps in the springtime. It's a cool, heavy season. And I get into that bed in the middle of the day and it's cool and I feel heavy and I don't want to get back up. It's not a nap season. When you get up on those spring mornings, you want to think about light things and focus on the lightness of the day. Don't start off with a bunch of heavy stuff. Get up and do some happy breathing and look outside at the greenery that's blooming outside. Don't start off on your computer checking your emails. That's heavy stuff.
That might be good advice for every day of the year, but especially spring, as we can go outside, we can start mirroring what the nature's doing. We can see the flowers waking up, we can see the blossoms blossoming and everything turning green. That is what we want for ourselves. So even just getting outside and being around that will help us foster that kind of energy and put our attention into this reawakening, cleansing, lightening place that we want to be in this season.
Yeah. And if you go outside on a spring morning, wear a shawl. Like, stay warm. Think about this coolness not getting too cool, not getting too wet.
I'm really
And
oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just say I'm really bad at this because as soon as I see sunlight, I am like in sandals and busting out the sleeveless shirts and the shorts because like the sun is out. I want my skin on it. And so I noticed that I I switched wardrobes a little too soon and I'm doing a little too much time in the cold. And that's something I have to really be conscious of not putting my body through.
Well, and maybe this is a good space to mention that this that seasons aren't universal. And I think it makes sense that you would do that because you live in a place where you don't get a whole lot of sunlight, do you?
Not as much as you do in Texas. Yeah, we kind of go through a really dark period for the winter season. And so when you see that sunlight, you want to grab it with everything you can and not let it go, which is true, but it's still cold.
Yeah, so I mean, because I know we have like the days of the seasons, like there's a certain date that is the first day of spring, a certain date that is the first day of summer. And I am guessing here that you probably have a spring that lasts longer than that.
Perpetually springtime here, baby.
And here, my spring is much shorter. We talked about this before we did the episode that the first day of summer is sometime in the middle of June. And here in Houston, Texas, the first day of summer is coming in about 2 weeks, and it's May. It's the beginning of May. So to take just all that to say that if you're listening to this episode, take it into consideration where you live, what the seasons are like when you live, because it's not really about the season. It's not really about the dates. It's about the quality of the climate that you want to pay attention to. Because right now here it is cool and moist, but we're moving into hot and moist. And then I'll have to make some other adjustments. And we can do an episode about summertime too.
Oh yeah. I love the summer adjustments. Everybody will be putting buffalo milk out under the moonlight with some raw sugar. It'll do wonders to your heat.
Have you ever done that?
Where am I going to get buffalo milk? I live in America.
I bet there's got to be some hippie grocery store in Vancouver where you can buy buffalo milk.
I'll have to start looking because it sounds fun.
Right. Okay. So back to was practical advice. Get up early in the morning, take a hot shower, warm yourself up, do some self massage, or I forgot to get my dry brush.
Oh, well, I have mine. So I dry brush before the hot shower. Is that when you dry brush?
I dry brush at night.
Before shower or no?
Before a shower because I use oil in the shower and I don't get oil in my dry brush.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Which this will lead into Abhyanga, but I dry brush before the shower, do the hot shower, and then do the Abhyanga. And the dry brushing is really helpful because it's moving lymphatic fluid, it's getting off the dead skin, it's getting things nice and fresh. They're super easy to pick up and really like they feel good on your skin. Dry brushing is just it's nice. It's just a nice like little thing that takes like a couple minutes.
I'm going to get my
Oh,
I want it. Like that's just how good it is that you start talking about it and I'm like, oh.
I want to feel.
I have a little like mine's a body ionic brush.
Okay.
So with center bristles are copper.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's copper. Well, there's some copper and there's also it's bores, but it's a little bit, you can just be really gentle with it. And it's kind of scrapey. I don't know. I just absolutely love it.
It feels nice. And that's cool. Yours has copper in it. That's a great metal for counteracting the accumulation of copper. So you're doing double duty over there. I don't know what mine's made out of. Lots of bamboo. I don't know. It's eco-friendly.
It's eco-friendly.
Eco-friendly, yeah. According to the label.
Hippie.
So dry brush before shower. I usually dry brush it at night also, but there's no reason you can't do it in the morning and give yourself some extra like invigoration.
Well, and what I like to do, and I think this is really worth mentioning, is that you start at your fingertips and move towards your armpits. And then you go from your feet, you start at your toes and you move up towards the glands in your groin. And then you start at the waist and move up towards the armpits. So you want to like push all of that material towards the glands. So if I'm starting at my neck, I can go towards my armpits and I go up. And you see how I want to go towards these glands. And oh man, it just like, it's so awakening and invigorating. and it just makes me smile.
I agree. Okay, so you do this, you take your hot shower, and then we're going to talk about the other thing that makes me smile even more because we really do have to do an Abhyanga episode. But Abhyanga is, again, like it's the highlight of my day. I do it twice a day. Do you do it twice a day too?
I was actually talking to a client about this recently who is, wanting to make sure that he's doing his Abhyanga just right. And it comes up that I'm not really doing Abhyanga twice a day anymore, and I have for years, but just my schedule is such that I'm only showering once a day on a lot of days today.
Okay.
So, but every time I'm in the shower, it's Abhyanga time.
Yeah. I I will Abhyanga even if I don't shower. Like if I'm like going to bed without a shower, I will do. I actually think it feels better when you don't shower. It takes more oil, but it's a little bit more work, a little harder to schedule in. So I feel you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, basically it's oil massage, and you want to use a light, warm oil. So mustard oil is a good choice, which can tend to be a little bit stimulating. Sesame oil is another one. What did I say I'm using right now? I think I go wild. I'm using raspberry oil with some essential oils in it, some warming essential oils.
Okay. You see, I'm basic. I buy sesame oil by the gallon and go through it and keep it in my shower, by my bed. I have like a jar in the bathroom. I just keep it everywhere. And like Alicia said, it's head to toe. I do my face, I do everything in between, I do my feet, and it's really life changing. Like if you're gonna take one thing away from this episode, let it be Abhyanga. I think if you
Mhm.
take one thing away from our podcast, let it be Abhyanga.
Well, and if you're doing a Byung in the springtime, don't want to use a really heavy oil. You want to do something that's light and warming, and in order to stay in balance with the seasons.
Of course,
Okay.
there's nuances to these things, and a heavy oil example would be like castor oil. That's probably going to be like one of the heavier oils.
It's
Ah,
heavy. I would say the black cumin oil is kind of heavy.
I'm getting sesame oil on my computer. Is this if we have a malfunction, it's because I'm covering everything in sesame oil.
Oh, okay. Either before or after your shower, when I think like before I brush my teeth, I drink hot ginger lemon water or room temperature ginger lemon water. I've gotten into the habit of squeezing a whole lemon into 32 ounces of water and putting about a teaspoon of ginger powder, and I let it sit by the bed overnight. And when I wake up in the morning, I drink it first thing. And that helps to cut the mucus and dry things out and get things moving first thing in the morning. And it's a great thing to do almost any time of the year, but especially in the spring.
Yeah. The other benefit is lemon juice. It's lightly detoxifying and it really gets your digestive juices flowing. So you're going to be able to digest your food better as you go out through your day. So it's a lightening, help everything in the systems run thing to do. I've been doing lime water this week actually because that's what I had. I had limes, but
Mhm.
I'll oscillate between lime and lemon water, and it's an act of nourishment for the body. Don't skip it. It's easy.
There are some slight energetic differences between lemon and lime. I think they're really arbitrary. Use what's available. Use what you like. Use what feels good.
Mix
And
them.
And after that, I brush my teeth and pull out my handy dandy tongue scraper.
So you do things out of order. I'm like, I tongue scrape before I will put anything in my mouth. I tongue scrape, brush, and then drink.
You know what? That's true. I do tongue scrape and then brush. I do tongue scrape and then brush. I'm lying over here. I'm just,
Well, we're getting it. Tongue scraping's amazing. So I don't know if you've ever gotten up in the morning and looked at your tongue, but oftentimes what might be happening is you're accumulating toxins over the night, and the thickest, most potent toxins lie on your tongue. And if you scrape them off and get rid of them, that is that much less that your body has to deal with. So as Alicia is demonstrating,
I can't believe I'm doing this on YouTube. There's not much there, really.
you stick out your tongue and you gently scrape, 5 to 10 times. This also stimulates
From,
digestion, which is really good.
oh, I like your scraper is different from mine.
I like it. It's handy. I have one like yours too with the
Yeah, yours is one-handed.
Mine's one-handed.
So, like, you can put oil in your ear while you scrape your tongue.
Well, no, I try not to stack my habits, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like peeing while tongue scraping.
Of course you are. You're gonna have fun editing this one.
No, I'm keeping this all in.
So, the tongue scraping. You wanna make sure you go from bat to
Mhm.
front, and you don't have to, be gentle with yourself. You can do it as many times as you like. Everything's gonna come off. You don't have to beat your tongue up. You don't have to scrape your taste buds off.
Yeah, I rinse in between, so I'll, like, scrape and rinse, and as
Mhm.
the more you do these things, the less substance you will notice you are scraping off in the morning, and you
Mhm.
can kinda start tuning in with, like, "How am I feeling? How's my digestion? How's my sluggishness? Oh, what's going on with my tongue in the morning?" Because you don't wanna see thick, white, yellow, brown, black coats. That is not what you want to be seeing on your tongue.
Yeah. I would say, and I wonder if you would agree with me, that the tongue is the best indicator of current balance.
It's one of my favorite indicators, that's for sure, and I like it because it changes really quickly, so you can
Mhm.
usually, like, check to tune in. I know if Alicia's anything like me, we're, like, sticking out our tongues in the mirror multiple times a day because we both do tongue reading, and it is a beautiful indicator of what's going on inside your body.
Well, I look at it every morning, and I mean, it's just and things, like you said, things change so quickly, and I can tell so much about what's going on in my body by looking at my tongue, and I can tell a lot about what's going on with somebody else by looking at their tongue. So it's a great indicator of how we feel, and what you want is a light pink tongue with a light coating, not too wet, not too dry. I love it. Just you want a Goldilocks. You want everything to be like Goldilocks. Not too hot, not too cold, not too big, not too small, just right. And when my tongue is just right, I am just right.
Yeah, it's true, and I've gotten a really bad habit, so especially as I know we both do psychological face reading and, we look at the face for symptoms, we look at the tongue for symptoms, and I've gotten in a really bad habit of just, like, staring at people while they talk. And, certain things you can see on the tongue just from, like, people talking,
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
can see
like,
people's tongues when they open their mouths. And you can see
"Yes."
if it's a different color, it's obvious.
Yeah, you don't wanna see a lot of cracking in your tongue. If you're seeing any crackings, that's an indicator that things are off balance, and you should probably call someone like us if you're seeing a lot of cracking. But yeah, the tongue is a great indicator, and think about it, it's not something we normally tend to or put any love or attention or care to. Tongue scraping is your way of honoring your tongue and doing your maintenance in your mouth. So, a tongue scraper is cheap. It'll last you a lifetime. There's no reason not to do this. It's a very easy thing to implement. You should already be brushing your teeth, so it is just a very small tweak that's gonna be big benefits over a lifetime. So after your tongue is scraped and your teeth are brushed and shining, this is not my favorite, but also important is what are we gonna do?
Dusha. Oil pulling. What are you using for Gundusha?
I have the Banyan's Daily Swish. It doesn't taste very good. I'm not endorsing this.
Okay, so I'm right now, and this is actually a really good one for this time of year. I've got neem with sesame oil and cinnamon and clove essential oils. And a little goes a long way. And those are warming and drying essential oils. Sesame oil's got it's pretty neutral. Neem is cold, but I always put a little neem in my Gundusha oil because it's antibacterial. It's so good for your dental hygiene.
That's a great idea. I never even thought about adding powders or any oils, anything to my oil oil pulling oil.
No, yeah, so it's neem oil. I don't put neem powder. I get neem oil from
Oh,
bulknaturaloils.com.
girl, you're brave. Neem oil is funky. So what? I do like about a teaspoon, and you're gonna swish it around in your mouth for about 5, 10, 20 minutes is optimal.
Mhm. And you don't
And
need much. Sorry, you don't need much because once it's in your mouth, you're gonna start salivating and it will mix with your saliva and you're gonna have like so much liquid in your mouth. if you
Mhm.
take more than a teaspoon.
Yeah. It's a great time to do it when you should be talking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Ayurveda wants you to tend to all of your holes every day, all 9 of them. I think 10 if you're a woman. But this is one way you're tending to your mouth hole. It's great for dental hygiene, for gum health, for getting bacteria and toxins out. It's another one of those things that's going to have a big impact over a long period of time.
I'm counting my holes.
We can count together. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils.
That's
That's
6,
6.
Kevin.
Mouth is 7.
9.
8, 10 if you're a woman.
No, it's not. I got 9 holes.
And if you have 3 holes down there, girl.
Well, I can't like put oil up all 3 of them. You want? Or I thought we were talking about holes that we could like actually like put stuff into.
Well, I just think it's important to call it that women have an extra hole. And we do tend to it by urinating first thing in the morning. Well, okay, that's one of anyway. We don't have to go down the whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got and I mean, so we want to oil all of our holes every morning and tend to everything. But really in the spring season, this is where we want to use the least oil compared to other seasons. And we want to use the lightest oil that we do. We want to think warm, light, less is more. And if you're a really oily person, then maybe you do things like chickpea flour massage, which I have done. It is pretty amazing.
Okay, so you oil pulled. Now, this is where it might start getting weird, but we're going to tend to our nose holes and perform something called nasya. And that is where you put oil infused with herbs up your nose, as Alicia's demonstrating. And Alicia's got a potent oil right now. It burns, huh?
Invigorating.
It's invigorating. Mine has calamus root in it, but nothing as intense as yours. So I do this every morning regardless of the springtime, but I might switch out what type I'm using depending on the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man. I want to know what's in this that makes it feel quite like this, but it's so strange. The anotalium, which you can probably purchase on eBay or really cool store called Ayurveda Bay. It's an oil, but it's drying. So it's great for the springtime. Like I feel like an astringency in my nose right now.
Yeah, I think you're doing the best oil for drying and clearing mucus out of all of the nasya oils. I'm a wimp, or I would be doing it with you. I stick to calamus in my nasya oil, which is a drying, heating, warming herb that is also beneficial.
Oh, I love calamus. I have another one that I use all the time. It's got calamus in it that I get from Banyan.
Yeah, that's one I have right now.
So now that you're all oiled up and stimulated and you've had your hot lemon ginger water or your room temperature lemon ginger water, your warm shower, and you've massaged your lymphatic system, what kind of workout do you do? What kind of meditation do you do?
Well, I know we're both yogis, and so we got to call out the sun salutations because this time of season, we want some vigorous postures. We want to break a sweat. We want to move. And one of the, go-to postures I think of is sun salutations.
Sun salutations. If you're not a yogi, then, this isn't a time of year that you want to just sit and lift some weights. This is a time of year where you want to like go for a run. You want to move all of your limbs, really get that heart pumping. Think cardio, think movement. Instead, what did I say? Backbend push-ups. It's time for backbend push-ups and handstand jumps.
It's a little advanced for some of us, but yes, you want to break a sweat this spring. You want to get moving.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not in child's pose all day anymore. That's for winter.
Yeah, winter time is for that rejuvenative yin yoga.
Oh my God, I was just going to say I'm not a fan of vinyasa, but if you were going to do vinyasa style yoga, this would be the time to go do that.
Or a heated vinyasa class.
Or a heated vinyasa class, although those are really wet.
Well, but but it's leaving your body. The moisture is leaving your body.
Leaving your body. That is a very good detoxifying, invigorating move.
This is a great time to do that. I'm still like reeling from this Anatolium oil. I think I need to go and I need to blow my nose.
Okay.
It's liquefying the kapha and it's got to come out.
Dude, you're making me want to go huff some Citalpalati powder and get my mucus out.
Huff it.
I like to put the powder straight in my mouth and let it like just calm until I can liquefy it and swallow it down. I find it very satisfying and it works very quickly.
That's how I do it too.
Okay. It is a bit of a choking
But
risk.
yeah, I was just recommending it be done a little differently for our friend.
Oh, it's funny because anyone I can get to try it, I'm like, here, take a tablespoon of that. And then they, you remember the cinnamon challenge when that got popular back in the
Well,
day? It is
I
like
had a
cinnamon challenging yourself.
I had a client over and I was like, "Here, try this, you'll love it." And he thought that I was like he said, "I feel like I just did a cinnamon challenge." He thought that I was like messing with him. And because it wasn't a problem for me, but it was a problem for him. So,
Okay,
oh,
so you're showered, you're hydrated, you tended to your holes, you're oiled, you're doing your yoga, you're getting invigorated, you're breaking a sweat. We need to clear out some channels. How are we going to do that?
breath of fire, vigorous breath work. I think this would be like, okay, so, breath of fire, if you're not familiar, is when you take a deep breath and you exhale as much as you can through your nose using your navel point like a bellows. So you just pull your navel in and then you'll automatically inhale. And you do that over and over again, 30 to 100 times, or I like to set a timer for 3 minutes. It's very detoxifying, it's warming, it stimulates digestion.
I was out of breath when we started this episode because we were doing it right before.
And it all comes from the belly. Another thing that I'm thinking of now, what do they call it? Wim Hof.
Oh,
The Wim Hof method, which is very popular. This is a great time of year to do Wim Hof. It's vigorous pranayama. It's another one.
I always think about Nadi Shodhana for clearing the channels. Alternate nostril breathing, I think, is always great for channel clearing and getting the gunk out.
Yeah. And breathing through your right nostril is warming. So if you want to warm your body up and get some energy going, you can block off your left nostril and you can set a timer or you could take 27 breaths through your right nostril and it wakes up those warming energies in your body.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, any time that's intentionally spent with your breath is going to be beneficial. But if you can specifically tailor it for the season and bring in some breathing exercises that are going to be a little more invigorating, then you are going to be really well off. I feel like we should take a shot every time we say invigorating because that is like the buzzword this episode.
That is, or one day we should come prepared with like turmeric shots. Where I was looking in my garden and I have so much gotu kola and I thought, I wonder if I juice it, how much gotu kola juice will I get? And then what will happen if I drink it all?
Oh my gosh. Well, that I would love a follow up on that.
Oh,
Keep me,
no.
keep me posted. It's not going to taste good though.
Oh, I know what it tastes like. I mean, I eat it in salads and I've juiced it before, but I have so much. Like I think I might be able to get like a good gallon of juice at this point.
Nice.
Anyway, so speaking of food and juice, should we talk about diet? What kind of a diet do we need to eat in the spring if we're eating for the seasons?
Yes, we should. Diet is always something that's so impactful to lead with because we're doing it 3 times a day anyway. With just some small adjustments, we can really start making that work for us. So when we're in the springtime, the first thing that comes to me is light, warm, easy to digest.
I like it light, warm, and easy to digest. So things like mung beans, barley, small legumes, think small beans like lentils, aduki beans. Oh, when I went on my coffee reducing diet, which is really a springtime diet, I ate a bunch of black-eyed peas and
Yeah.
I wanted it light. So if you make the beans, don't make beans that don't have much water in them. You want it to be kind of soupy. So there's more soup and more greens. Add greens to it.
It's a great time to hit the veggies hard.
Particularly the green veggies.
Yes.
Think think leafy greens, kale, mustard greens, asparagus.
Yeah, your cruciferous vegetables. And you want to do all these cooked. This is not the season for raw foods. So any veggies, especially like you said, the greener cruciferous ones. And then you want to add a component of bitter vegetables in your arugula, your dandelion greens, weird lettuces.
Weird lettuces. I feel like they're all bitter. Like, are mustard greens not bitter?
Mustard greens are bitter.
Mustard greens are bitter. We eat a lot of turnip greens this time of year at my house,
Oh, interesting.
and radish greens, which people you can eat young radish greens. There's nothing wrong with them. They cook up just fine, just like the turnip greens do. I don't know why people don't eat them,
Because we like to throw away lots of parts of our food.
but it's like such a good part of the food.
I mean, people buy beets without the beet stems. Like we buy carrots without the carrot tops. We've just kind of
Well, there we go. Beet greens. That's another great one for this time of year. And again, just to reiterate that you want to cook these things. This is not a time of year for smoothies or salads. We're just not there quite yet. The
so
digestion is still a little bit slow. We want to help it along. And when food is cooked, it's easier to digest and assimilate.
yes. So warm things that are lightly sauteed. You can do some soups. You can do some things like kitchery, which are kind of like rules. I don't know what you would call them. You know, that kind of stuff with whole real ingredients, whole grains, small beans, lots of spices. You can really augment your meals with some light, drying, warming spices and herbs.
Yeah, think of sour and the word like I want to see astringent, and people don't know what astringent means. Things that make your mouth pucker. That if you're going to do fruits, think of those kinds of fruits, apples, pomegranates. One of the things that I've been doing a lot of lately is grapefruit with honey. You want to stay away from sweets. So sugar is not your friend. Agave nectar, stevia, not your friend. But if you want sweetness, honey is astringent, and it's a good time season to have honey. And if you haven't tried grapefruit and honey, you must. Delicious.
I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna have to try it. So as far as okay, you got your fruit, we're eating veggies, we're eating the grains and beans. Our spices and herbs. We want again warming. So we had our ginger in our water. We can put our ginger in our cooking. We can add
Mhm.
we can add ginger to everything.
Or we could do trickatoo, which is ginger, black pepper, and Indian long pepper together. Which if you haven't tried Indian long pepper, you can get it you can buy it online, you can buy it on Amazon, you could get it at your local Indian grocer. And the peppercorns are long and skinny, and it's got just like a very unique flavor that blends really well in your cooking. I recommend check it out, try it, put it in your herb grinder. It's tasty. And
I love
it's
it.
and it it's detoxifying in this really lovely way.
And what's cool about the long pepper is it's also kind of building, so it's not going to deplete you too much. It's like this really beautiful, balanced, warming, detoxifying plant that I feel so good when I'm chomping down on Pipoli. I get myself into trouble. We won't talk about that.
It's a Rasayana though, right? It's like
It is.
it's part Rasayana.
Yeah.
You can mix long pepper with honey and take a little bit of it with honey to help rejuvenate your lungs. And so let's see, we talked about trickatoo. So we've got black pepper, mustard seeds. Everybody just eat Indian food in the summertime.
I was gonna say, really, you're hitting your turmeric, your cumin, your mustard seeds. Like that is just Indian cooking right there.
Did I say summertime? I meant springtime. Yeah.
Yeah, try this is a great this is actually a great time to try some new dishes, some new Indian dishes.
It really is.
Why not? That's your homework. Go home and pick a curry or a vegetable subji you want to try and cook it and eat it and really emphasize these warming spices and vegetables.
Yeah. So this is why, like, so there are the takeaways are going to be to eat light, eat warm, eat drying, get moving, work up a sweat, and do what you can to do some gentle detoxes.
Yeah. So just and the things you're not eating are the heavy things, right? Like your heavy meats, like red meat or your dairy, your milk, your cheese, all that stuff is very heavy. It's very wet. Your fried foods, excess oils, these are the things that we want to avoid. We are going for lightness, which means we need to remove the heaviness. And if the foods are heavy, they are counterproductive to what we are trying to achieve.
Exactly. So don't skip your morning routine. Don't eat those heavy foods that you were eating in the wintertime that really served you in the wintertime, but it are not going to serve you today. I want to invite people to try at least one of the things that we talked about today, whether it's the dry brushing or the abhyanga or the nasi oil. That was the putting the oil up the nose, tongue scraping. Try a new recipe and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, we just gave you like 101 things to try, and you don't have to try them all, but try something because one, these things are fun. Two, they're life changing, Abhyanga. And three, this is just starting to care for your body in a very new way that will serve you so much over your lifetime, bar none.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening today. And we hope that you guys can do what you can to stay in balance through this season and keep an eye out because we'll do a summer episode in the summertime with some tips and tricks on how to stay balanced in the summer season.
Yeah, happy spring. Maybe I'll leave some links in the show description to find some of these products. But if you guys have questions, comments, you try these things, reach out and tell us about them. We want to hear.
Bye.
Bye.
If you're interested in Alicia and Lila's offerings, coaching programs, or other exciting events, please check out our websites, thelivingwellnesslounge.com and holisticallycorrect.com.